Action! Welcome back to another episode of Rip Through a Podcast. This is probably our biggest guest of 2020. I just said that about an hour ago, but I think this will top it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we might as well say it. Patrick's not here, so.
You got to talk into the mic too, because we are in a new establishment. We were at AFL House originally, but we got kicked out for obvious reasons. The coronavirus is going around.
Shutting everything down.
Shout out coronavirus. You don't miss an episode. It's in a fair bit. This guy's a pretty big deal in Melbourne, and he's doing it all at the moment.
He's looking like he's doing pretty well too.
He's doing very well. If you're into wine, we are at the East End Wine. I guess not a cellar, really, is it?
No, it's more of a bar.
More a bar. Wine bar in Camberwell. I'm going to introduce him. This guy is 28 years of age. He still looks handsome as a young kid. He's 6'10", 109 kilograms, but I'll ask him what he really is in a minute. That could be fake. 120 games. Struck by injury a lot of his career, but welcome, Max Gawn.
Thank you. How exciting is this?
I've still got to go through your accolades too, and that's going to take another 10 minutes.
I really wanted to go to AFL House today.
You did.
I'm distraught.
You did not want to go there. It was mayhem. I felt like I was in a movie at the start. It was literally like people running around, cameras galore. No one actually wanted to talk to us. But I do appreciate you coming on today because I know a few teams in the AFL have put the clamps on media stuff, and as I said before, we did fund it ourselves, so you're kind of looking after us there in a big time.
No. Well, I said to myself, the only time I'll ever go to AFL House is if I've done something bad, and I haven't ticked that off yet. Well, I don't think
is that where it's
that
held,
off.
all the tribunal stuff?
I don't know. Well, you've probably been.
I've been. It definitely is there. It definitely is there. But now we just do it via the internet. So
right.
I go through your accolades. He's 3-time All-Australian, 2-time Best and Fairest, AFL Coaches Association Player of the Year. That must have rated you.
Yeah.
You're really hard to play against. Melbourne Captain, and that's a big thing. Congratulations on that, mate. That's humongous. And he's officially the Jaffel King of Melbourne, and we're going to talk about that soon too, because that's kept popping up in the research. What does Max Gawn do? It's like
is that on the Wikipedia?
Jaffels. Now he's into wine. It's not much football stuff. It's about your outside. So
does it say Jaffel King?
It said the Jaffel King of Melbourne.
Right. That's good.
So that's pretty good publicity.
That means the money I'm paying for the.
It goes straight to the top. It goes straight to the top.
Google page one's looking good.
And I think it's called the Bearded Waffle, the Bearded Jaffel.
Bearded Jaffel.
Yeah, so we'll talk about that soon. But welcome, mate. How has your preseason been? How's that knee holding up? That's obviously been a big talking point in the preseason.
Yeah, well, we're going well. I mean, the length of preseason these days, I've missed half and still done almost 12 weeks. Like, it's crazy how long preseasons go for. But you guys escaped the heat for your preseason camp and go to Tassie.
We went to Tassie. We got out of it.
Everyone else goes to Sunshine Coast.
Well, that's our advantage. Like, we train that shit since day one.
Yeah,
so we get out of the heat by going to Tassie.
I find it hilarious that
it's
you
God's
guys
country.
go to Tassie.
Yeah, it's God country, so that's where I'm from. So shout out to all the Tasmanians that listen. All 14 of you, my relatives probably too, and my cousins. But so you got up to the coast. So how's it been? Like, obviously coming back in, you've done probably half of the preseason camp, or the preseason all up. Are you feeling pretty good now? What's the geo there?
Feeling good now. So I hurt my knee there. So was around Australia Day, around that time. So I've missed the last sort of 4 weeks, and I'm right back in it.
Yeah.
Ideally going to play round one, which is coming up, but
we'll see what happens there.
If there is a round one, might give you an extra 4 weeks off. It could be good.
It could be good. You'd be flying by that time. But no, we'll talk about childhood because obviously I know a fair bit about you. But when I was delving into the internet webs, I was finding out some shit. I was like, okay, so Gawny was born here in Australia.
Yep.
Then you went to New Zealand at a young age, and obviously you came back.
Yep.
Run us through that. I don't think too many people know Are you New Zealand or Australia?
Like, I claim New Zealand.
Yeah, nice.
I definitely claim it when the cricket and the rugby's on as well.
Depends who's winning, right?
Yeah, especially the rugby. Well, the rugby's always New Zealand, but my parents and my two brothers and everyone else with my last name and blood is born in New Zealand.
Yeah.
Apart from me, I was born on a little excursion that my parents had to Australia.
As you do when you come to Aussies, like mating's in the air.
Yep, correct.
Things happen.
And then I moved back and I was there my early years.
Yeah.
But started primary school in Australia. So
did you get into any of the rugby and stuff while you were there? I know you mentioned off podcast before you're a big cricket fan. Did you have any links to that? Like, did your family play it or?
I didn't do Auskick or under 9s, 10s, 11s. I played footy from about under 14s.
Oh, right, yeah.
So I was a little rugby union player. As you can imagine, rugby union for a 12-year-old in Victoria
doesn't go well.
Yeah, there was wasn't just one league, it was one team. We just played intra-clubs.
That sounds like a good preseason. That could be us in here. Man.
So I quickly passed up on rugby, but I did start with rugby.
Yeah, okay. So when did you shoot up? Because what's the position in rugby for you? Like 6'10"?
There's a position. The position.
Ealsy?
It's called a second row or a lock. John Eels. Where they get lifted in the line out.
Yeah.
So that's the position.
So they've got to pick up the biggest guy on the field and put him in there.
Doesn't make sense, does it?
Not for me, but
no. So it should be the biggest guy picking up the smallest guy.
That's what I thought. Would that be the same height? Quick mass.
Yes. But yeah. It's also rugby's a lot of tackling and
yeah. Well, you don't rate yourself.
Well, AFL's got about 4 or 5 where I think Cam Smith makes. Different sport, rugby league, but he makes 60 or 70 a game.
And that's not even his job.
Yeah, so that was one of the big reasons to go to footy. I would have thought when I was 13, and I was skinny and lanky and
So because you were skinny and lanky, did you play ball as well? That was I
hated basketball,
didn't like
and
it.
still to this day.
Really?
Yeah, not a big fan of. Not a big fan of all 3 American franchises, to be honest.
Okay.
Well, there's 4, but I don't mind the 4th in baseball.
You do like baseball?
Yeah, I do.
That's probably my least like.
A little bit more cricket in baseball.
That's true.
Yeah.
A lot of batting in that.
A little bit more stats. I love their books. I love Moneyball. I love Astro Ball. I love what's happening to Houston at the moment. It's absolutely hilarious.
I love Brad Pitt.
So
the Moneyball movie.
I like that, but the other sports I struggle in, NBA I struggle with the most.
Well, yeah. I guess I'm kind of different background. Like I love the basketball. I like NFL because I'm a tackler by nature. So that's what I kind of do like. Yeah. But growing up, I went to a baseball game 2 off seasons ago, and I was pretty intoxicated, and I didn't even enjoy it then. I just wanted to leave.
But as a millennial / Generation Y, I don't know what I am, but as
what?
Are we Gen Y? I think we're Gen Y.
Oh, we're Gen Y.
You're 28.
We're close to millennial.
Yeah, okay.
Everyone likes basketball, so you almost have to fit in with everyone. I know a little bit about it.
It's because you around especially at a footy club, it's kind of the chat.
Yeah,
Do you ever ring at Amy Park?
We've made one. We've had a makeshift one.
That works.
Well, Christian Petracca always says he was better than Ben Simmons.
Well, it's kind of we're talking about this on the last pod with Cripper today. Is like the commentators they find out something like that, they'll just run with it for it. So obviously Christian Petracca and Scott Pendlebury had that basketball, but they talk about it every time they get a touch.
Correct.
It could have been a comment. It could have played. Could have been this. That's like
Pendle's cops at every game.
But now it's going to be like, oh, you should have played rugby union. Now they're going to talk about that. So my bad.
But you're right. Like there's 12 games a day.
You're talking
it's hard to escape it.
I did go watch a Miami Heat game once and fell in love with. It was the best performance I've seen someone on a basketball court.
Was LeBron there then?
No, I worked out. It was a guy named Kelly Olynyk, who I thought should have been the highest paid player in the NBA after what I saw.
Europe?
Apparently, he's the most mediocre.
I never heard of him.
No.
Is he from Europe or something?
No,
he's
from Europe, but he's playing for Miami. He's white.
Yeah, okay. But I don't know him.
Yeah.
Do not know.
And I came back to all these basketballs up at Tracker and said, mate, this Olynyk guy stocks in, like, get him in your in your dream team. Like, this guy's a star. And it turns out he's not. So that's how much I know.
Oh, we'll get on with that. That's actually pretty funny. I don't know too much about basketball besides I'm a bandwagoner with everything. So is he. So don't worry about that.
Are you kidding? I'm picking everyone up in the bandwagon.
Yeah, rightio. So you started at 14. You worked your way up to the 17s, 18s. You played in your draft year. Did you do your ACL?
Did my ACL round 2.
So this whole story is kind of depressing, but there's so much positive in it as well. Like with your injuries. So you've done your ACL. You still got picked up in pick 34 to Melbourne in 2009. So run us through doing your ACL, still getting picked up, which is awesome, but missing like a fair chunk of that year coming to a new club and environment.
Yeah, well, I obviously picked up footy late, so I got brought into the whole TAC Cup stuff late. And that was pretty much my...
Who was your team?
Sandy Dragons.
Okay. Shout out Sandy Dragons.
Yeah, I was literally the only public school boy there. It was an interesting dynamic.
They probably wore ties at training today. No, jeez.
When the privates went out, we were shocking. We had tradies rocking up after their 4:30 shift just to come train. And yeah, I did my knee round 2. So I'd only played maybe 7 games bottom age and then 1 game top age and then did my knee.
Did you show enough? You must have shown something.
I always say I probably would have gone 1.
If you played the whole year?
34 after 1 game.
I
probably would have gone 1.
It makes sense because you got drafted as the second tallest in the league behind big old Sandlangs.
I would have, Sculls wouldn't have got that GWS deal because he wouldn't have gone 1. He would have gone 2.
So shout out to Thomas Scully.
I would have gone 1.
And who was it? Jack what? No, no. Jack Watt's my year.
Jack Trengrove.
Yeah, Jack Trengrove.
And then Dusty went to Richmond. Dusty would be at Freo because they had picked 4. It all would have been if I didn't do me.
He wouldn't even be who he is now. So it's funny, like the pendulum, like what happens in that draft could change the whole aspect of AFL football.
Crazy.
But doing an E at 17, geez, it makes you grow
Has
up.
to be tough.
Makes you grow up real quickly.
And I've read stuff like, when was the year? Was that obviously you rocking up to Melbourne Demons? Did you understand what like professional AFL was? Because you only just started, and you obviously public school boy by hearing what you're talking about.
Well, I was a December-born baby as well, so I was still 17.
So you're late.
And I couldn't train. I hadn't trained for 10 months. I was walking into this place going, professional standards. I can't train.
What is this?
Still
What do I
17.
do? Are you trying to put on weight? And
I was at a public school where I constantly had darts at the dart tree with teachers. That was the school I was at.
So I've seen that, like, because obviously you just got made captain, so obviously someone's been doing the homework, or you've said that. Like the sickies before training and stuff. Was that early days, or was that like...
I mean, it's a well-told story. Almost every time anything good happens in my AFL career, that story comes out.
I know exactly how that feels.
Yeah, I died. When I was 17, I was injured. I was driving a training. I used a story that I had friends in the car the night before and they left their cigarette.
And you
pack
thought,
in there.
why not?
That actually grew legs and people believe that.
Well, that makes sense.
Yeah, but no, that morning, so Kyle Cheney saw me on the freeway, which is quite funny.
Kyle Cheney.
Shout out to Kyle.
Whatever you doing, mate.
And there was a day where we had, similar to you guys, we had 10 in our leadership group. And it was a semicircle of 10, and me in the middle was a 17-year-old just got to the club.
Cheney ratted you out.
And Cheney had told the
He
leadership
snitched.
group.
Cheney!
No, that's not on.
No wonder he finished up now. That's not good. No, but Cheney, you're probably a good bloke, man.
Cheney just finished up, to be fair.
He was at Adelaide, right? Last club?
He got a 10-year career out. So
He done well.
He did very well.
Follow redhead, I'll give it a shout.
I remember Brett Maloney was on one side of the leadership group, and he was coming at me hard.
Maloney.
Yeah.
Like, I know Brett Maloney, but like, I don't know about that, man. That's a double standards, brother.
Brad Miller was coming at me hard.
Oh, Mills. Actually, shout out to Brad Miller.
Hey, but
what's that like? That's intimidating, right?
Like a 17-year-old, that must have been really intimidating.
It's made me realise how to handle 17-year-olds and 18-year-olds and 19-year-olds. We're all different. We don't come in like a...
Not now.
I'm guessing a Hugh McCluggage would just come in and he's
ultra professional.
Skin
folds, amazing, running wise, like I can't keep up.
We don't all come in like that.
I don't know where they put these kids in the under 18s, like what's going on at AIS. There's like
there is more and more coming in like that. But
you get like the one. You get one kid like probably you or me the way we came in.
But they end up we're still on a list.
We find a way.
But how do we probably did it from our own intuition?
Well, we got to learn. Like you learn from your mistakes, I guess. Yeah. But these kids probably see and learn, and then like I guess our pathways are different. These kids are probably getting like the treatment and all the like experienced coaches coming in looking after them compared to old mate from public school, couple games of Sandy.
Like we're the good stories, but is there someone who got delisted after 2 years who could have been an absolute jet but couldn't get across with their personality? They were different to everyone else, or
well, you don't really know about them, do you?
No.
I've been with a couple of players who like. Rowan Kerr, like no one ever know who this is, but high draft pick, was absolutely out there. Had a tattoo of a prawn on his arm. I don't know if you remember this kid. Played one pracky match, killed it, pointed to his prawn. So like Etihad Stadium, no one's there going off after a goal. This is before it was cool to do that. And like a couple years later, he was gone, playing in the waffle now. Like he was a good player, but just different.
Yeah. So that's why, like, as a leader, I know we'll get into it, but as a leader, like all 45 players matter. Like you're all different. Everyone comes from a different way of life, and the way recruiters are picking at the moment, like there's lots of mature age guys coming in who are almost very different.
Yeah. Look at Marlon Pickett's background, man. Like, fuck.
Yeah, crazy.
But it's cool. It's cool.
It is now.
It actually makes me enjoy leading.
Yeah. And because from only having a few run-ins with you and talking to you, like, I'd flourish under that. Like, you've done so well in the regards. We'll get into that because we'll polish you off soon. That's a big thing, man. Yeah. So 2011, debut year, round 11 versus Essendon. Big win.
That was a game.
Yeah. You played all right, but you got presented a number 37 jumper, which you were rocking for a couple of years by great Jim Stynes.
I did.
So run us through that emotion. Like obviously hindsight now, what he's gone through and what that would mean to you now. But like the kid who's just done ACL, different pathway to getting drafted, getting his debut jumper, big win over Essendon. Like I'm presuming there's going to be. Well, like 60 to 80,000 there at that game.
Yeah, and we were. I think it was round 11. We would have been.
Yes, round 11.
3 and 6 or something. So we were playing pretty poor. So which actually probably pretty good for Melbourne standards at that time of the year.
I do have those stats here too.
So that was a massive game. Going on Jimmy before the debut.
Yeah.
We got drafted and Scully, Trengrove, and then didn't stop there. Gisbert's, Tapscott were all top 18, all first round. We had 4 picks in the first round, which is massive.
Yeah.
And then I went, obviously, pick 34. So you can imagine that no one was that excited about this Beanpole, Rico.
Yep.
And then there was 4
superstars,
young guys that are going to come in straight away.
Yeah.
But Jim Stynes picked me out in front of the whole group and said, I love this bloke. He's going to do things differently. I did things differently, and I reckon he will as well.
Wow.
Which has stuck with me. It's never been more truer words in how I've forged my career.
Yeah.
I feel like I've done things differently and stuck to that.
Yeah.
Jim did things very differently. He was almost the first player from Ireland to come play footy.
Yeah.
And
Like
played
those barriers.
240 games in a row or something.
Brownlow
like it was
medalist.
crazy. Brownlow medalist. So those words always stuck in me. So me and Jim had a great relationship. One of my regrets, unfortunately, out of my hands, but I never got to meet Jim when he was well. I only got to meet sick
towards
Jim,
the end.
Then going fast track into my debut, he had to come in on the Thursday to present my jumper because he was going in for operation on the Saturday.
You're kidding me.
And there's good vision. Well, it's not good vision, but there's vision of him with all the stickers on his head for going into the
surgeries and placements.
And the video is him presenting this jumper to me at Casey Fields. And it stuck with me, and his motto, I still look at the jumper, because I wear number 11 now, which is the number that he went to.
So I was going to ask why he changed.
Not trying to copy everything he does, but I'll win a Brownlow this year as well, which is
it makes sense. Like
similar to what he's done.
You're following his footsteps. The whole story, like that just resonates with me. Like it's just something that you can do. Like obviously you're being yourself, but like he's telling you to like don't follow the same footpath. Like there's a couple of quotes that they're saying, you know, create your own, all that kind of stuff. But the way he's done it, it's amazing, and seeing what you're doing as well, and touching on your debut, like to get the win as well, like especially that. Like I don't know if he was there after the game or how that went down after the game, but that's just got to be something that you've just remembered for the rest of your life, right?
I took a mark on a really, like I thought it was a good contestant. I was on a 400 gamer as well in Dustin Fletcher.
Oh yeah,
it was a pretty good mark.
Cop that, Dusty.
At the top of the goal square, we were 17 points up with about a minute to go.
Yeah.
And I finally got my first shot of goal. I missed it. I sprayed it left. It was a shocking goal. And I had to come to the bench afterwards. I got a standing ovation from the MCC, and I've just missed a goal from the top of the goal square.
Yeah, we'll take that.
Melbourne supporters are crazy like that, actually. The MCC does get rocking when there's any chance of a win.
I know exactly how they are, because after that one comment I made, they hated me for the rest of their life. I still get booed and shit, man. I'm like, I didn't even say anything.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. You were actually up on our walls. I've completely remembered that now.
So was I? Okay, we'll talk about that.
There we go.
We'll talk about that.
I've obviously forgiven you because I've completely forgotten.
I said to, because we talked to Nathan Jonesy like a couple weeks ago, and I was like, man, I just want to apologise. Like, I was just regurgitating what the coaches and that were talking about. Like, we played a bruise-free game. I was talking equally of us playing it.
That was the
and for some reason, like, it just comes out that I've just called, like, you guys pussies.
That was the week before my debut.
Was it really?
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
So they brought me in, obviously, to toughen things up.
We're going to bring in this 210-centimetre Gawn. He's from New Zealand. He's going to bash and crash. And he pretty much did, so.
Jonesy was good about it, though.
He was like, yeah, man. Like, we don't give a shit. I was like.
I remember it was touched on. I remember the captain speak. I think Brad Green said something. And I remember the newspaper article might have been somewhere.
Man, it wasn't good. Like, the whole week, I was like, I didn't even say that. And I was like, that's why I'm starting a podcast in about 10 years later. It's twisting my words and shit.
I'm glad you brought it up. That's actually...
Just on the... I mean, you said going about things differently, because we were talking about this earlier today. Like, it wouldn't have been easy sort of maintaining that throughout the journey, because, you know, it is all about obviously trying to evolve and obviously stick within team structures and the way that you obviously work through things. But it mustn't be easy trying to maintain that difference and wanting to have that uniqueness and continuing that and being true to that.
100%. Or without getting sort of like egotistical about it, I was lucky I could play. Like some guys who show their personality like that, who aren't a tall 208-centimetre ruckman, who's showing positive signs of being an okay ruckman. Yeah. They would have been given the flick. So
you were talking about that before, about like luckily I was that tall guy.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Like if I had 2 knee recos, 10 knee operations on my right knee before I'd played my 5th game. I was crazy in that 6 years, but my VFL games showed positive signs. And
well, you won a BNF. We'll talk about that soon, but you won a
8
BNF.
games,
8
games.
I think you played 9.
Write that down.
You played 9 senior games that year?
9 VFL, was it?
So what year was that?
2014.
2014, yeah. So you started, we'll talk about your business and that, but even 2013, well, in 2012... you hurt your ACL again. You had a meniscus and ACL tear.
Yep.
So that's a whole year gone. Bang. See you later.
That was the end of 2011. Yeah.
Like.
That was actually the story behind that.
So yeah, run me through that because it keeps saying like.
That was the last session before Christmas break. So yeah, that's the worst time to do a knee because you're missing the whole season plus at the start of next preseason.
And then you don't even start preseason next year.
And I had my 21st planned because I'm born December 30. So I've done my knee 21st of December and I've got my 21st planned.
This is timing
December
101.
30. So I've had to cancel my 21st, but instead of cancelling, I postponed it to the year 2020.
Hang on.
So for some reason, instead of cancelling it, I couldn't find the cancel button. I just postponed it till a year that didn't seem like it was coming.
Yeah.
8 years away.
Yeah.
We'll worry about it then.
So when is it?
But every year around that time of the year, it comes up on someone's event. This is 5 years away, and someone will post, "Can't wait for this.
Oh
Can't
my
wait
God.
for this."
So Gawny's never had a 21st birthday party, and it's still.
I think I'm having it this year.
Well, it's 2020.
It's 2020.
But do we want to set a date or?
Well, I know it's
30th
It's going to be in December. I mean, it's probably going to be at the wine bar as well. But
shout out to the East End Wine Bar where we record this podcast. If you just tuned in, So obviously, so doing this research, it's gone like 10 games, 9 games, half in the VFL, half on the VFL, and then you've gone to 2015. You played 13 games. You changed your number from 37 to 11. Do you want to touch on the number real quick, why you changed? Like we kind of talked about, it's been the Jim Stynes thing. Was it kind of obviously around that? Do you want to like elaborate a little bit more on that?
Yeah, I actually tried to get it when Mitch Clark came to the club, which was 2 years before I eventually got 11. But I was penciled in to go from 37 to 11, and then we made a last-minute move on Mitch Clark. And
from Brisbane, right?
He was homesick and managed to come to Melbourne on the way.
Yeah.
And we got him, and he ended up. I got shifted out of 11 pretty quickly. I think I had my stuff in the locker. I think I was in 11.
So what year was that? When was that?
I reckon Clarkie came 2012.
Mitch Clark has absolutely just come in on the flight on the way there. He's gone. I want 11 by the way.
Yeah, so I got shifted out of 11, and then Mitch obviously moved on 2 years later, and 11 came back my way, and I didn't have too many hard feelings. I could have told them to stuff it, but 37's a good number.
I don't mind it.
Is Goodsy 37?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, he was.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I reckon you're obviously making not many other big dogs are 11, but I think that's your number now. I just missed out in 2014. So you started a business called Max Jones and Co.
Yep.
And you were making tables with teammates at the time, Matt Jones and Max Kin.
Pretty creative name.
It makes sense. Like a lot of Maxes and Matts going on in there, but from the rumor on the street in the Camberwell streets are that you had to stop this business because it was booming.
Yeah.
So you started a carpentry business. Run us through that.
Yeah. So
Are you a carpenter?
Are we on the record?
For libel reasons.
I learned things
insurance.
really quickly.
Yeah, you obviously did Ruckcraft, building tables.
My family are in the trade area, but Matt Jones was the tradie of the three.
Yeah.
No, we wanted to start a cafe. Like obviously, I've started a wine bar and a Jaffle van eventually.
Yeah.
But I wanted to start a cafe at the time, so we started going to cafes, and we fell more in love with the tables we were having the coffees on than the actual coffee.
Yeah. Okay.
We're like, this seems like an easy job. Surely we can make tables. So we looked into it, and it turns out we could get a table done in about 2 or 3 days. But for AFL footballers, that's 3 days off.
So that's 3 weeks.
So that's 3 weeks. So we would quote people, we'd underquote them. The quoting business is a hard game because you don't want to.
What kind of timber and stuff we talking? Like hew and pine.
Hardwood, any sort of hardwood.
Yeah.
Red gum, you get all sorts. And we'd make a table. We'd quote them 3 weeks. We'd get it out in 3 weeks. We'd deliver it. It'd be awesome. The thing is, we got really, really busy. So we started quoting 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, 6 months, to a point where we had a logjam of tables.
Oh shit!
A genuine logjam of tables. We then outsourced some builders because we thought maybe this is a business where we can sit at the top and just outsource.
Yeah.
But then that just got a little bit too hectic as well.
Yeah.
We needed to buy our own warehouse at some point. And then
you boys are on a gold mine right now.
Yeah, and then the two boys got the raspberry sauce.
Yeah, they got
sayonara
boys.
And they had to sort of weigh up if it's worth risking their full-time employment. Matt had a young family at the time.
Oh shit.
So he just went back to his initial trade and worked with his old man, and it became all hands on deck for me.
So you're trying to establish yourself in the AFL. That year in 2014, you actually won the VFL BNF. You set a record in the fucking VFL for most hitouts, 80 against Bendigo. You're trying to balance this
With this
potential war dog story of like importing tables and just like turning him to a big franchise possibly down the track. What?
And we ended up just shutting the doors.
And you just shut the doors on it.
We bailed.
What could have been?
And we still think
could have outweighed what you've been doing now, like money wise.
Don't know. I think that the name, not that I was a name in 2014, but the name of 3 Melbourne boys.
In the VFL, you are.
And then word really got out that there was cheap tables because we were doing it at half the price of a place you'd walk into.
IKEA wasn't established by you.
To get your dining. No, you're fine dining.
Yeah.
I'm not bagging IKEA. They're a shocking institution. But, you can go
Emma, if you're listening, he's only joking. I get our stuff not from IKEA.
You can go in there and get a $100 table.
Yeah.
Where we were selling more along the lines of like your low thousands.
Yeah.
But you can go, if you walk into a nice table place, you can get one for 20 grand. Like it's expensive stuff, the table.
So in East End Wine Bar, what are we rocking here? Are these all?
These were made by the builder. So
Okay.
that's another way.
But we would have had an eye for it though. Like,
yeah.
Oh, that works.
Well,
works.
we use the timber that we use around the bar as well. We've just turned that into tables
And if you haven't been in here, like Camberwell,
Oh man, we're coming back.
this looks this looks the goods.
Yeah.
And apparently, McDonald has a drink in here somewhere.
Yeah.
Joe Jonas or is that?
Tom Jonas.
Oh, Tom Jones. I thought Tom McDonald.
No, Tom Jonas.
Jeez, look at that.
Tom Jonas has the Hey Diddle wine that we're looking at just up there. It's a Monty.
Good drop.
Yeah, good drop. And also Jordan Lewis has one up there as well. I can't see where his is.
Oh, he's got a
Probably
Probably right up the top.
It's
Jordan
probably
Lewis.
the same as his age and it's a few years old, is it? No offense, mate. Don't bag me out on the footy show, whatever you do. So that was a big year for you in terms of like starting to get your craft down, Pat, right? Like, because you're obviously getting a lot of hit outs in the VFL, which isn't like the best thing in the world, but it's obviously the next step going to AFL. Then 2015 was probably somewhat of a breakout in terms of bit more confidence, and you know you're doing well. You probably had your best game against Geelong, and you had 3 Brownlow votes, mind you, in that game.
Yeah, I'm not a big man of the stigma that Ruckman take time, but unfortunately,
it feels like this story is.
Unfortunately, I haven't helped it because I took time. But
Steph Martin as well.
Like Steph took. Well, Steph was a backman for his first 5 years. So
I remember him.
Yeah.
We used to give it to him because his name was Stefan, and Mick Moldhouse would be like, "How the fuck can Stefan get a touch? When his name's Stefan." Like, and when I call it him now, he actually gets angry about.
I took a lead up mark at Steph on training, and I was a forward, and he was a back in my first year.
Steph, if you're listening,
there you go, Steph.
That's where this game's come. both premier ruckmans of the competition. You got to start somewhere.
But I mean, Oscar McInerney's probably the other end. He's sort of come. I know he's mature age, but he's sort of come straight in.
Yeah.
So I was behind Mark Jamer. So I had a breakout game against Geelong in 2015.
Yeah.
That was just basically the first game where I played an exceptional game in AFL.
Yeah.
So that, if we want to call it a breakout, it's a breakout. But I was still behind Mark Jamer, who was our All-Australian ruckman, and Steph Martin was at our club for those middle years as well. Yeah. So it was tough to get a game, but I got a game, and I finally got a game.
You must have got some confidence from it because the next year you balled out, man. Like 2016 was, if you want to, that's a quote-unquote breakout year for you. So that was the start of like, I can actually play AFL. Like I'm not that bad.
And since the start of 2016, so at the end of 15, I've done every pre-season. So 16 was my first sort of pre-season as well. Yeah. So as much as we like to get our pre-seasons reduced and whatnot, that actually helped me as a middle-aged player wanting to take his spot. That helped me. Now as an older player, still not the way around, but I kind of want less time. Yeah. But that definitely helped me. And it's more confidence going into pre-season, confidence going into round 1, knowing that I'm probably going to be picked. Yeah. It's a little bit of weight off your shoulder. Like you like training with pressure, like, someone can take my spot. But you kind of want to just work on specific things in pre-season, not having to, bust every contest and like get all the taps down pat. You kind of want to like work on your craft. And I guess that year you kind of taken over Mark Jamar's position because in 2016, you got voted into the leadership group. So you must have had a pretty good, back half of 2015 as well. But that year you probably became the best ruckman in the competition. Like, I know we're talking a fair bit about footy, but I just want to know how you go from playing a handful of games, struck by injury, the 2016 All-Australian, balling out number 1, number 2 in the AFL for hit outs and advantage and breaking. I think you had a record as well for somewhere along there, yeah. Like
2016 had to be the year that you're like, thank you, I can now do my wine bar and stuff.
Yeah, 16 was a fun year.
10 wins as well.
Yeah, it had a really disappointing end because
that's not far off finals, right?
Yeah, we were a chance going into it, and then we sort of tanked towards the end.
Yeah.
I
Can you use that word?
Yeah, I'm not
Probably
allowed.
can't use that word.
I'm actually liable to.
You can't say that word. I'll say I'll probably beep that year.
Well, actually, no, I probably can because they
definitely can.
tanked for me. I mean, it was the year before I got to the club.
Oh, well, that makes sense.
Yeah,
Well,
so I'm
so
fine.
thanks whoever did that.
Yeah, we'll say that.
So yeah, 16 got amazing confidence. I don't buy into the fact that I wasn't good enough at 2014.
Yeah.
But getting the opportunity, and I understand now as a leader and watching other people grow, that you can't grow unless you're happy in your own skin.
Yep.
You can't grow unless you're confident. So to be able to get that on everybody, like, it took me 6 years to be confident. How can I get my first year player who's now at the club to be confident so we don't have to worry about it? Most of them are coming in pretty confident.
They come in pretty happy.
They come in relatively
They
happy
expect
with
games
themselves.
round one. If they don't get it, they're like, oh, I'm getting traded.
How's this happened?
Man, come on. Like, you
That's
got to
one
earn
thing.
that shit sometimes.
I don't get the whole.
It's a sense of like
trading.
you get top draft picks, especially. Like, not saying it happens at our club because, Brisbane, we're all. But like players coming into the AFL nowadays, they just expect to get games.
Yeah.
And if they see one of their private school buddies, like, sorry, I keep having a crack at you boys, but they see their mates at other teams getting games and probably other squads. It's like, oh, they should be getting games, and they have the self entitlement that they should be getting games. But like, I'm a big believer of earning it. And even for myself, like, this is not about me, but like when I got delisted, like, that's when I really found out what professionalism means, how to be an AFL player and play consistent footy, and what works and what doesn't work. So I know that like it took a massive thing for me to actually lose my job to realise what AFL football is, and there's always silver linings. You just got to find them along the way. But that 2016 year was like amazing for you. Like you said, you did set a record. I was on, he'd have to advantage. All Australian jacket, third in the BNF, bit stiff there behind Viney and Jones, who you probably made look that good anyway. So they probably should be.
Let's still talked about that year.
But it should be. Like, I think it's a bit of maybe some contractual things that they had to get in there to pay those boys.
Bernie won.
Viney won. No. Jonesy won. Is that Bernie?
No, Bernie won 2015.
Jones and Viney second, and then you.
And you came in.
Yep.
Dirty third. Third the best.
Just on 2016 though, with the All-Australian jacket, I mean, Cripps was telling us this morning that for him, when he first got that first jacket, that was when he kind of felt that he not necessarily belonged, but also felt like, okay, I'm now in that top echelon of AFL players. I mean, did you get a sense of that? Because 12 months ago, prior to that, you were just trying to play consistent footy for your own team, and now you're sort of being recognised as one of the best 22 players in the game. Did you get a sense of that?
It's probably because myself and Paddy had different sort of. Paddy, I know his first year wasn't unbelievable, but he was a childhood star.
Yeah.
Drafted quite high and was seen as a saviour of Carlton.
Yep.
Where I took a lot longer, and I was still, when I got that jacket, thinking I've played 45 games here, and I'm standing here like I'm not supposed to be here.
I'm still amazed you've only got 120, man. To be honest.
So you felt that even after you got that jump.
I still said, look, I probably lucked out. Maybe did Nat Nui fall over, or did, which he did.
Was Grundy in that team that year?
I beat Goldstein to it, and I beat Grundy to it. So they both played that year.
Yep.
But I was still feeling quite lucky to be standing there. And then 17, we'll get into it later, but the 17 I tore my hamstring off the bone.
Yeah.
So at the start of 18, I'm still doubting myself.
That's probably.
But yeah, only 120 games. I won't be that, and I'm happy with the way I've done it.
Yeah.
I won't.
Well, it's your story.
I won't get 300. I won't get 250, and I'm pushing shit uphill to get 200.
What is 120? So you need a good four or 5 years. So you got that.
But I'm happy with the way I've done it. I don't need the 200 AFL game club to go to every game for free for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
But I had to grow up so quickly in those first few years. And
there must have been you must have had a time to yourself when you had the jacket and you're like, fuck, like this is pretty special, like from where I've come from. And obviously a lot of people always say, thanks mum, dad, thanks to family and stuff, but was it like a sense of I've earned this and this means more to me than probably other blokes who not other blokes, but you've earned it?
It certainly does.
Yeah, like
is individual recognition up there with some sort of team success? Like I want team success.
Everyone, and we get told to say, but you still want it though.
I want to see what that feels like.
Yeah.
Like the finals completely outweighed my 2018 jacket.
Okay.
Like playing those two finals.
Yeah.
Was my biggest objective I've ever done. Biggest accomplishment. So when you look back and go through individual success, and 16, that was the making of me and like a great honour. But it was a horrible year for the club still.
Yeah, true.
I couldn't smile when I was
getting interviews and stuff.
And I was still I was still like quite grumpy within myself about how I performed in the last few games as well.
Because it was just off a couple games, literally in the top 8 spot, right? Because you finished on 10 wins, so I'm guessing it would have been like maybe needed 2 to 3 more max.
Yeah, I actually think we had a hiccup against Brisbane.
Maybe I wouldn't. Was it 16? Oh, I don't know.
I think we were supposed to be really good, and you guys were already
where we were.
You were already out of the finals.
Yeah.
And we only won by 7 points, and we're up by 40 at 3/4
Need a percentage
time,
booster.
and we came back down. Well, that might have been 17. Oh well, one of the two.
One of the two. Well, it makes me feel a little bit better that I did something to ruin that jacket for you. Sorry.
just on individual success versus team success. Like as competitors, don't you both just want to win everything though? Like as a competitor, don't you just want to go out there and actually win as much as you possibly can, whether it's team or individual?
Yeah, there is.
Are you a goal setter? Like start of the year, like do you write down these are the things that No.
Not.
See, even for me, like I still have certain goals that like I'm not going to say I want to be all Australian and stuff, but something that I can keep marking myself. Because even for myself, like I don't know if you watch other ruckmen and study what they're doing and where they're at in terms of stats wise. For me, playing a new position last year on the wing, I was like, fuck. So who's the best in the comp? You got the Gaffs, you got the Brad Hills, and they're all different players than me, but I can still base myself off how I'm going in that position. And obviously what you're doing for the team and inside the structures and stuff, you might be a little bit different, but I still have those goals at the start of the year. Like, I want to be near about averaging that, so I can be making sure I'm doing the best for the team at the same time, but I still want to be getting my tackles up. I want to be scoring goals, and all Australian squad can come along if you're doing those things. Is that yes or no for you?
In and out of that mind zone, Like, I'm very competitive when I'm on the field.
Yeah, okay.
And I know I need to watch some ruckmen to beat them, so I would watch them a little bit.
Yeah.
But I don't buy into I'm a lover of media, so I watch and read a lot of things.
Yeah.
And I'm in most of it as well because I don't say no to a dollar.
Yep.
But
100%. Sorry I couldn't pay for this.
It gets worked up a lot, Gawn v Grundy. I couldn't give a flying ass.
Yeah.
Unless Melbourne beat Collingwood.
That weekend.
I'll try and beat him that day because I'm a competitive prick.
I love that.
But what he does the next 21 weeks,
irrelevant.
And if he gets an All-Australian jack and I don't, that doesn't faze me.
So you're not looking over your shoulder.
No.
It's really, as you said, a lot of
people
build it up. It's Gawn v Grundy.
I've just got to beat 22 ruckmen on their day. Mm. And if I do that, but I don't comprehensively do it like Brody does, so does that bother me? No.
At least you're getting your job done on the day.
Yeah. And then my job eventually will get team stuff done. But that's, probably happens to you as well. The biggest the shift you can make as a player is when you stop caring about your own touches and start caring about team success. And I was thinking about my own numbers for ages, because you're in and out of the VFL and AFL. You can think of.
And that's all you in that meeting. Why you don't get picked? It's you're not getting enough of the ball. You're not doing this.
Yeah, when I was the 22nd player in the AFL team, and I knew I was because I was the second ruck. As soon as you lose, the second ruck gets dropped all the time.
Yeah,
I needed to go out and play a good game personally. But once you get over that hump, that's another thing as a leader. You got to try and get people.
You got to start worrying about
as soon as you can. So I'm a competitive prick on the day, and sometimes to a point where coaches tell me stop caring about your other ruck and start buying into team defence a bit more.
Okay,
which does happen. I'm getting better at that, but
it's team defence for you guys, like getting long down the line, spoils, or like tackles or blocks, or.
And again, as a leader, that role develops to a point where I'm setting up my other midfielders.
Yeah, okay.
Like I'm a big fan of. Clayton Oliver and Christian Petracca are absolute offensive jets for us.
Yeah.
I'm not an offensive jet, so I'll cover their men for them. I know they're quicker and fitter than me, but I'll do my best at covering their men to let Christian Petracca go crazy.
Yeah.
It looks like that's what Richmond does with Dusty.
Well, that's 100%. Well, I've been a tagger, and I know for a fact that's what happens. Like, without throwing shade at any, that's all the premier midfielders usually in the comp. Like, if they're getting those 30s and stuff, they're not defending. Usually not cheating, but that's what the word in universally is in the AFL world is they'll just more defensively. They'll just leave. They won't run after if they're not going to get the ball. They'll just kind of sit around the midfield square area or just get ready to go back the other way. So I know what he's saying in terms of picking up the other guy's men because they can play more offensively and get do what they do best. So obviously your job is at the stoppage, bang, 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 long down the line, kick some snags when you go out forward. If you can pick up the midfield, it's like having an extra midfielder really.
But then going into that ruck battle again. Like I could, let's say, Brody has 30 disposals on me.
Yeah.
Which probably could happen, probably has happened. But if and I play all right. I have 25, and I think, we've just had a good battle.
Yeah.
But that might not be compared to like if Nat Nui has 10 hitouts to advantage from a centre bounce and absolutely cleans me up, but doesn't touch the pill. I reckon Nat Nui's cleaned me up there.
Well, 100%. And even in the media, like, they'll probably say that too, because they'll see the images of him getting up and getting over, or even his follow-up work, getting the pill after he's tapped it down and done that follow-up work as well.
So it's completely different. Every
ruckman's got their strengths and their weaknesses.
Yeah.
And obviously you've got strengths after strengths. Is there anything that you've been working on this pre-season in terms of, I know you've been a bit limited with the knees and stuff, anything you've been working on specifically to take Gawney to another jacket, or just more success this year?
I'm not sure if you're all like this as well. Every year, do you just finish a year go, geez, I need to get fitter and stronger again?
Especially towards the back end.
It feels like you just get, every year you go to the same goals for pre-season and off-season to get fitter and stronger again. And now you're just delving into different ways. I delved into the diet in 2016 at the end.
Yeah. What'd you go for?
I just gave up everything that I enjoyed, basically.
That's one way to do it.
Yeah.
And I completely halved my DEXA scan. Like, I went crazy. But now I'm normal now. Like, now there's got to be another way to go. There's always these steps to go to continually be better. So I think my goals are just continually be fitter and stronger.
Yeah. But in saying that, like, how much fitter and stronger can you honestly get? Like, you can always go back to your past. Like, I don't know if most teams are probably the same in terms of the gym, like the numbers you're getting in there. Obviously, we do 3K time trials. Everyone else is different, but you can always go back to that. But GPS numbers are probably big for us, especially for a winger now that I've got to look at that a lot. But I probably feel like I've done less in this season, in this preseason, but feel a lot fitter, getting my numbers right up. But I've probably done less work and more like recovery work for my body. Obviously, I'm a boomer. I'm a 30-year-old now, so I probably have to do things differently to the younger boys coming in. But I feel like less is best for me at the moment, and especially mentally, man. Like, coming in this year, I'm ready to go. Like, obviously, we've got a chip in our shoulder from not winning the final and going out in straight sets and stuff. We got that going for us. But coming to this year, that's driven us, and I'm just like excited for this year. And now we've got to fucking wait.
You don't want to do a Melbourne.
And I don't. Well, that's what I was going to ask you. That's the next thing. Like, we'll jump into that in a second. But
fitter and stronger is different for everyone.
Everyone's different. That's what I'm trying to get to.
I'm not going to get Nat Nui's hit like spring and a centre bounce. I'm not going to get
what's your VJ?
Brody's ability to get the ball. I'm not going to be able to get Goldie's running capacity. But I can be a better version of myself still.
Yeah, and that works. That's a pretty good person.
Yeah.
So 2018, man. What a year, right?
That was a fun year. That's similar to the year that you guys have just had.
Similar, but you guys won 2 finals, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, against teams that have bullied us as well, Hawthorn and Geelong. So
that's the thing, right? Like, you have that going. That adds us a little bit. So 2018, 25 games under the belt.
It adds to the fan spectacle. They haven't won over Hawthorn. They're Hawthorn best mate down the.
Well, we haven't beaten Richmond.
For 10 years.
Richmond haven't beaten them for 10 years. Like, we haven't and then they beat us twice in a row. And it's like, fucking Richmond. So now I've got a big passion for them in strongly disliking it. But 2018, 25 games, prelim, your first best and fairest. Your first one, which is a bit whatever happens. All-Australian jacket again. 2018, another consistent year. Run us through the finals campaign, because I think everything else has been well documented. But personally, how did that feel for you? And then experiencing 2019, like...
Yeah, finals are fun.
Finals are that fun.
I personally didn't play amazing games, but I felt like for the ruckman I was versing that day, I did exactly what I needed to do, which made me happy.
Yeah.
The Geelong game was extremely special because Geelong had bullied us.
Was that down there?
No, it was at the G.
I was going to say,
we were the home. We came 5th. They came 8th.
The atmosphere was incredible.
Yeah, like
you were there with Gaz. He's a big Gaz. He's Gaz's best mate.
Yeah, right. Yeah. We lost by 186 to Geelong in 2011.
Oh, that's true.
They've bullied us a lot throughout our time, so it was good to get that one back. And obviously, the start of that year, I missed a set shot from straight in front to miss that round one game.
Was it?
Well. So it was a bit in there. In fact, I had a shot pretty early on as well. So, yeah, the Geelong game, but the Hawthorn game was like every Melbourne fan. Well, majority of Melbourne fans live east of the city. Yeah. They live in the same places that Hawthorn fans do. Yeah. So every Melbourne fan knows a Hawthorn.
So bragging rights is that all-time high.
They're best friends, Melbourne and Hawthorn fans. And then Hawthorn have had the bragging rights on every team, but especially Melbourne for the last 20, 30
last
years.
Decade, man.
Since 1964.
That's a pretty big win.
Yeah, so that one was really special for Melbourne fans and Melbourne players alone. Obviously, the prelim didn't work out, but the one thing I will say at the prelim is hopefully we'll never have to play in an away prelim again. Hopefully from now on we play home prelims, MCG.
Yeah.
But to get an away prelim feel, that city was a lot. Like flying
Especially
in,
WA, man.
the
like
place
Perth.
was a lot. Like everyone was booing me when I was walking down the street from your morning coffee.
Love that.
Like that
Do you like? You seem like the type of bloke who would thrive off that. Like,
That was
fuck it,
crazy.
this is going to be.
I'd love to play in an away prelim again. Like
Yeah.
I hope we don't, because I hope we finish top 2 and
Yeah,
don't have
yeah.
to worry about it. But
Yeah.
like, yeah, and not everyone will get to experience it. An away prelim. Maybe Hawthorn probably haven't even
I
experienced
don't
an away
reckon.
prelim.
I don't reckon half those Melbourne teams have played outside of Victoria. to
Yeah,
be honest.
so to experience that, like, until the quarter time siren was the most special moment I've ever had. So unfortunately we didn't play our best footy and some stuff went pear-shaped, but 2018 I still look back on that and go, we had a
Tick.
pretty good season.
Yeah.
There's some stuff we can take out of that. Yeah, we lost the prelim, we got spanked, but we still shown we could play finals.
At least they won the grand final.
Yeah.
What was it like with the supporter base, though? Because that was the first time that Melbourne fans really gained a sense of excitement and finals footy. It'd been so long. I remember talking to Jeff White about it the week of, and even as a former player, I mean, he was just bubbling to take his kid and Kai down there, and it was just, he just said it was an unbelievable experience. And, you know, supporters really gained a sense of it. I mean, what was it like as a player seeing it from supporters, you know, how excited they were to just be able to see this team be kind of back to where you guys obviously wanted to get to?
It's a bit of a talking point for me at the moment, because our club is a big club. We're a closet big club. We're a big club that can be very big if we won footy.
You're sponsors, man, already.
Like if you could imagine a Collingwood or a Richmond who have had an era like us, they'd be similar to us.
Yeah,
they'd
100%.
have 30,000 members is what we got at the moment. We're aiming for 50 and 60, which is what we sort of had last year.
Yeah.
So it like excites me that there's that many Melbourne fans. We pack out the MCG 2 finals in a row and they come out of everywhere.
Yeah.
And then unfortunately we've had an unsuccessful year and they go away again. So I hope that if Melbourne fans do listen to your podcast, I hope they realise there's a strong correlation between we need your support now to grow up
To
the
get
ladder.
back up.
Not once we're there, then to jump
on.
So everyone wants to create a dynasty. Everyone wants to create a Richmond. Everyone wants to create 100,000 fans, 2 flags, play finals footy, best player in the game, Dusty. Seems like their club can do no wrong. Everyone wants to create that. So seeing what we had in those finals shows that we can create it. But obviously we've got to play our role. We've got to win games of footy.
Yeah.
But I feel like those Melbourne fans, the feeling they gave us, the prelim.
It's a real feeling. Like we had exactly that last year. Like Brisbane's a big town.
Packed out every game of the Gabba.
Bruh.
20,000.
Every time. So for us, like, you know Brisbane pretty well. Like they jump on kind of what's doing well, because we got like the league. It's a league town, so it's crazy. If they're doing well, then it's kind of hard to get them. But thankfully the league went bad last year. Union didn't go well. A-League didn't go well. And we started playing some really good footy at home. So we played Richmond down here in the last game of the year, and it was like 75,000 or whatever. And then we played the first final in Brisbane, and I've played in front of like 95 plus. This was like the loudest thing I've ever heard in terms of like supporters and the roars we're getting in our warm up. And we're in front by half time, then we shat the bed and they kicked like 7 goals in the third quarter, and we missed all our shots. So, but I know exactly what you're saying. For the fans, like feel like you're playing for someone else as well. Like when you have that on your back, it feels like you're playing for someone else, other than like obviously your pride in the team and your family, whatever. When you're playing for supporters and they're turning up, you don't want to let them down as well. They're the first people you see at the game. If you're playing shit, you're trying to hide. Like fuck.
Yeah.
Even the past player thing, that's great. So one of my other things as a leader, I like our past players to talk well about our club.
Involved,
I feel like so long in my time at Melbourne, past players have hated the club once they've left, because they left on bad terms. And early on when we had Mark Neildon, a lot of guys retired early. Like we had guys that retired early, didn't want to know football, that sort of brought guys back. That energy brought people back. And it brought us a light seeing past players speak well about our club. And therefore, going forward, if past players speak well about your club, it gives you a good feeling about your club, and then you go to bigger and better things. And we got a lot of Melbourne guys in the media. Like the on the couch is basically Melbourne supporters. It's Paul Roos and Gerald Healy and Gary Lyon, and they're 3 guys that do like to pot the club when it's going bad. So it's great to see people talk well about the club that are from Melbourne and the feeling that we get. So that's another thing as a leader I'd like to get. Like some of my mates that I've had a lot of teammates. We've been a bad club, but some of my mates, I want them speaking well about it, you know?
Well, that kind of goes into what you're doing off-field about your mates, because we'll have a little talk about off-field. We'll finish up there. But like, with off-field, outside of footy. So run us through the bearded jaffle. Like, because obviously I do like the media too, so I've seen a lot of your stuff. You used to make coffees out of the back of somewhere in
That got shut down.
Is that in Richmond?
Yeah, I had a house in Richmond.
So you had a house in Richmond. Is that H&R? Can you even do that?
I loved coffee.
Because your mum, growing up, your mum owned a cake shop, right?
Yeah,
and that's where you found your first love
cake
for
shop,
it.
coffee shop.
Yeah, cake shop,
cafe.
coffee. So you learnt early days. So
Yep.
your passion for that obviously grew from there.
Yep.
And then so run us through the bearded jaffle, your coffee.
So initially I got a really good coffee machine. So I got it at home.
What do you got? Shout out to Breville.
No. Shout out to, I wouldn't even know. It's Levanta. It was through Levanta.
Lavaza, if you're looking for some people in the spring racing carnival.
Yeah, I actually need another coffee machine as well. Levanta. I invited a few people over because I wanted to test my toy.
Yeah.
I wanted to get a few people for a coffee.
Yeah.
And I realised it's pretty cool. Like, day off, I got like people from the football club to come around to my small little place in Richmond.
Yeah.
I set up a little courtyard. It was awesome. To a point where one Saturday, I had about 40 people there. Jonesy brought his whole family. I was making baby chinos for the kids. There was coaches in this back corner. And like the club was alive. Like there was people... Like the coaches were talking to players, all the kids were mingling. I'm like, I've created a little gym
Look
here.
at this.
I was making poached eggs as well, like poached eggs and avo.
Can this guy's...
I'd made a salad the day before. Jess, my wife now, but partner at the time, was working overtime in the kitchen. She was back there just smashing out salads.
Oh, no.
And then I did a tip jar. And then
So what are we raking in per
I ended
day?
up getting, like, Jonesy was paying for 2 baby chinos and 1 smashed avo and sticking a 50 in there. I'm like, holy, I'm onto something here. And then word got out and I had to shut the roller door for a little bit. And
that is just, you don't ever hear that shit. I remember seeing it in the paper, like you were sitting in the back just chilling out with the beard and just like making coffees. I was like, this guy is literally can do it all. Like this is something that, so you've obviously taken that and then run with it, and now you got some big stuff going on in terms of, you got the wine, you got the bearded jaffle still cranking.
Bearded jaffle's still cracking.
Yeah, so run me through the bearded jaffle because it got rated pretty highly on the internet.
The bearded jaffle was just a food truck. So my brother, who lives up in Queensland, brought a Ford F100.
Oh,
We
nice.
decided to turn it
It's a big. You wouldn't be able to drive around here.
No, decided to turn it into a food truck. Spray painted it black timber, looks pretty cool. And then we realised once he made it, we're like, geez, we've got a pretty good truck here. So we turned it into, I love jaffles.
Yeah, I mate.
Jaffles. So we
Baked
turned it
bean jaffles.
into, that seemed to be the thing. Toasted sandwiches goes off in food truck
Yeah.
industry, but you can't do a toasted sanger because they're already done. So jaffles was the next best thing. And then my other brother, who's a hospitality whiz, he said, I'll run it. So I said, I'll basically claim all the fame.
Yeah.
Pretend like it's mine, but I won't do a thing.
Yeah.
And
Well, it's worked.
the other 2 brothers basically did it.
Well, I've got family too, so I understand how that feels. I'm not a Max Gawn, but I'm probably middle tier famous in the AFL. And my brother, because we're gamers and he streams as well, he just, every time I tweet, it's like, go follow this guy. And he's like this in the background. I was like, but I'm trying to get him publicity and shit. So he loves it. But
he loves it.
That's so cool keeping there.
That's a pretty cool thing, man, because we get to go, we've been to Melbourne Cup, Australian Open, AFL Grand Final. We've also been music festivals galore.
So can people hire the truck?
Yeah, you can hire the private function, hire the truck. Bearded Jaffle, Instagram is the best way to find it. But
does Gawny slide in the DMs? Do you reply to anyone, or that's all you do?
every now and then, I went.
You never know.
I went to a festival that I was at the other day, in Sale.
Yeah.
There was a festival down there of Hilltop Woods and stuff.
Yeah.
So I thought I'd go try it out. So I used the excuse I was working in the truck, but I was there for 1 Jaffle, which was mine, and then left.
You listen to Hilltop Woods, though.
I listened to Hilltop Woods, which is great. But that's a cool little avenue to hospitality where you can see a lot of things.
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to be a real money maker. To be honest,
but it's a hobby, man.
It's a food truck, but where we're sitting is probably a little bit more on a big deal type scale. The wine bar, which came at a similar time. Wine bar came last year, round 1. But it was been in the pipeline for a while with 2 fellas from England. Basically, I started having coffee at their cafe about 7 years ago.
Yeah.
And we started talking, and now we're business partners. So we're 1 year down the track now, and it's been fun here as well.
That's awesome, man. So we'll finish up on that. Shout out to Jess as well, because I did meet her on the red carpet last year. The red carpet or purple carpet, whatever it is on the Brownlow. She was awesome. You finally married her, so shout out to Jess. look, I've seen the photos. It looks really good.
Yeah, we're what are we? Well, you've got married January 1, so that makes us 73 days strong.
73 days.
Not that I'm counting.
Not counting it.
No.
When you start counting, like, that means you love someone even more because every day is a...
Started being a real struggle
day.
around 40.
You know, you start
40 to
thinking...
60, you got to get through those
You started
days.
thinking, I hope that wine bar does well because that's a very expensive wedding.
Once you get to 70, I feel like we're in now.
It sounds like pre-season all over again. Then you could delay the whatever we're talking about, what happens off field in the bedroom.
Yep.
That's the next thing about having kids and stuff. But thank you so much, Max Gawn, for letting us come in today. We know that it's tough times with the coronavirus going around, but you've been a warrior in the night time, and you've let us come in here to your awesome wine bar, and we've got some free coffees too, so we'll hit you back for that. But
absolutely.
Good luck for 2020, man. Hopefully that knee comes well. The Melbourne Demons do very good this year, but we beat you, obviously. That'd be fantastic.
We actually got a Gabba Friday night game.
Oh, shit.
How good's that?
Bring it up here. Wow. Can you take that?
In round 18, so the AFL's really hedged their bets, hoping we're both going well.
That could be round one. That could be,
or it could also be 10,000 at the Gabba. No good, couldn't it?
It was like the good old days. You can take that poster off the wall as well of me, because I think we're all good now.
Yeah, no more bruise free.
No more bruise free.
I think we play a brand that's not bruise free.
I think we both play a pretty good brand now. Even though I'm an outside player now, so catch me if you can anyway, Fritch or who's out there these days. But I really appreciate it, man. Thanks for having us. That's Rid Through a Podcast. Check out Max Gawn on Instagram, social medias, the wine, what's called East End Wine Bar on Camberwell, the Bit of Jaffle, and just follow him, man. He's probably got quadruple followers on me anyway, so I don't give a fuck, but just
get around it.
Get around him. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
It's good fun.
Boom.
Hour on the dot.
Yeah.